Those of you that are new to the industry, I think this will be a call that will be very important to you this morning. We do want to thank Symmetry for putting their trust in us to have the call this morning. We don't take it lightly when we get on here, and we realize that there's a lot of you out here listening, wanting to hear something that will help you grow your business, and this is truly a nuts and bolts call this morning, and this is one of those calls that, I'm going to share some information with you today that comes from the history of the industry because I've been in it so long, and these are many of the things I'll be talking about this morning. I was actually there when they were designed. I sat at the table when F&G started doing this and was participating in the actual creation of some of the products you're going to hear about today. Let me give you a little bit of a history of the industry to give you an idea how the products that you're looking at were designed. This all started in April 96. I was working with Barry, and at that time we had a 20-year term that was not kind to you in underwriting. We had an expensive UL that we used for return of premium. There was an exam on everything over $100,000. We had an issue rate on those cases at that time of about 60% at best. Insurance rates in the industry at that time were in a free fall. It was like a price war, like a gas war type thing. Harry Stout was the then current president of F&G Life, and after us doing this, working with their products for about a year, he realized we were selling a lot of these poor products. He's thinking, if I take a chance on these guys, and develop some products that are not poor products, this just might work for everybody. He recognized some of the problems we were in and having. The agents were not making enough money to last. At that time, it was very common to see rates advertised on the radio, just like today, $500,000 on a 40-year-old, $28 a month. And you can imagine if you're at a 60% contract, how many of those you've got to sell every month just to make a living. The prices were really too low for the company to make a profit and stay in this thing long term. It was just kind of trading dollars for dollars. We needed a product that could not be price shopped, but it had to have great value, because each one of you on the call, if you've been doing this very long, you've run across these famous words, well, I want to check around and see if I can get a better price. So Harry realized that, and if you ever get a chance to meet him, you definitely want to thank him for what he did and the risks that he took. There was a 30-year mortgages we were working with. We had 20-year terms. We needed a product that spanned the entire 30 years with relaxed underwriting. April 28th of 1998 was the infamous day. That was the day that the first 30-year guaranteed term product was released. It provided us now with a 30-year term to cover these mortgages. It had no exam was required. There was a return of premium on it. There was a disability income option included, and there were 4 tables built into the price of this product. And if you're new and don't quite understand what 4 tables are, or maybe you understand it but don't understand it thoroughly enough to explain it to a client, get with your manager and have them work with you on that. Later in the call, I am going to show you a demonstration or describe one that I use. It's a diagram that helps you understand. These products, at that time when we first started doing this, the average premium on a mortgage protection case was about $480 a year. And when Harry Stout introduced these other products, obviously a 30-year term is going to cost more than a 20. And if there's no exam required, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than if there is an exam required. Return of premium was huge. Nobody had ever heard of it, and that was great. The net effect of that was the annual premium went on the average case from $480 a year to $1,000 a year. Now, this new product issue rate soared. The clients were thrilled. It was simple. There was no poking, no prodding, no needles, no nurse, no second appointment. My cash flow, April 28th of 1998, within 30 days, my monthly cash flow doubled, and it's never stopped. We went at that time from at best a 60% issue rate with an exam to almost 90% with no exam. Other life insurance agents would call and scream, say, "You can't do that." And a number of them, when I got them settled down, I had sold their clients what happened. When I got them settled down, explained to them what it was and how it worked, I actually sold quite a few of them. It's not much different today. You know, the traditional agents that don't have access to these products, and if you're new to the insurance industry and you think everybody can sell a simplified issue product, it just isn't so, because a lot of companies have never gotten into that marketplace, and a lot of agents who actually do have access to these products don't sell them because they don't understand the value of simplified issue, so that the only thing they sell is what they know is a better price. Their attitude is insurance is insurance is insurance, and the reason you should buy from me is I need a commission, and the name of my company is big, and I can get you the best price, when in fact the best price a lot of times is not what the client's looking for. Our issue time, before we had simplified issue, the average issue time was 6 weeks plus. That was by the time they did the exam and also got all the medical records. That dropped from 6 weeks plus to about 10 days, and no exam was required. The premium for this product was and is about 20% higher than it is for a standard rate with an exam, and it's important you understand that, because I'll talk about our competition in a few minutes, but you need to understand why that's important, but why the client recognized the value of that. See, after the agent points out that the company is taking all the risk, so now we're not talking about price anymore, we're talking about transferring risk from the company to the client if they do the exam. See, with our program, the company's taking all the risk. There are no needles. There's no second appointment for a nurse to come and ask questions. And they don't run the risk of if something's found in the exam, it is then broadcast to every life insurance company in the nation. These are PowerPoints, talking points that will help you convey to the client just how valuable this product is. This truly was and is a win-win situation. The client got coverage. The agent made enough to stay in business, and some people say, well, that sounds like greed to me. No. If the agent isn't around 6 months or a year or 5 years from now and the client needs to change banks, the client's got a problem because there's nobody there to help them with that. If they need to change beneficiaries, there's no one there to help them. So it's important that you as the agent make enough to stay around, because your client deserves to have somebody to help service the business at the end. The company made a fair profit so they could return the premium at the end of the 30 years, so everybody won. The client got their money back. The company made enough money. Now, think about the value of this. My team in Central Virginia alone, since we've had this product, we've had 5 men that the day they bought the insurance from us had prostate cancer. They did not know it. 2 of them have died, and they were covered because the company took all the risk. We've had 7 women that had breast cancer, and 3 of them have died, and they were covered because, again, the company's taking the risk, not the client. All 7 of those women and all 5 of those men would have all been in a decline situation had they completed the exam. Now, your client needs to know how much risk the company's taking, and that story that I just shared with you right there, 5 men and 7 women, on the Sylvester team, they are all versed and taught that portion of building value in the simplified issue. You're more than welcome to take those words and put them into your own words so that you can do the same thing. That's why this call is so important. Most of our agents today sell simplified issue because their manager told them to, without truly understanding the value, or worse yet, how to explain the value to the client even if they understand it. Now, personally, I'd like to limit how much risk the company's willing to take at $250,000. You need to get with your own manager and work out where you're at there. The reason I do that is if something looks too good to be true, it usually is. And in that situation, then the client's thinking, wait a minute, if I can get so much of this, something may be wrong with it.
Well, Dick, don't we have a couple of companies that will do up to $400,000 on a simplified issue?
It's interesting you bring that up. We actually do, Connie, and the only time I ever offer those is if somebody is a type 2 diabetic or something like that. But the reason primarily that I limited it to $250,000, and please understand on this national call today, this is a personal thing for me. Most of you don't work in a high market like Northern Virginia or Philadelphia or maybe, say, Atlanta. So this is totally academic to you. It doesn't matter. But if you're in a market where you have these real high mortgages, you need to understand what are the other agents selling, and they're all selling price. What we try to do is build the value in the simplified issue, limit it to a degree, and kind of take it away from the client. Because if you understand under $250,000 mortgages, there's a different level of competition than we have in the over say $350,000 or $400,000 mortgages. See, over $250,000 mortgages, that marketplace, that's the happy hunting ground for the Prudential agents, the Northwestern Mutual agents, the MetLife. You know the type that they just sell life insurance.
Well, and they also just sell price.
Well, they just sell price, and I've actually seen people, Connie, that had a quote. They were 5 foot both ways, and they got a preferred quote when, in fact, they wouldn't even qualify for a simplified issue. But the agents selling it don't understand the value of simplified issue. So what happens is when you call to deliver your policy, if you sold, say, a $350,000 or $400,000 simplified issue case with a swab test, when you call to deliver the policy, many times the client won't answer the phone, and the reason they won't is one of these Prudential, Northwestern Mutual, or MetLife agents got in there and convinced them, saying, well, listen, you got this other plan. It's already going to go through. Let's go ahead and do an exam, see if we can save you 40% on the price. The client now is thinking, sure, I'm covered either way, I can go. Now, that's if you got a good agent on the other end. Usually they won't even go there. They'll just say, oh, we can save you this amount of money. You're paying too much for your insurance. For those of you on the call here today, I actually had a case about 2 weeks ago. One of my clients called me, and this very thing happened. And the operator called, set an appointment for her agent, and my client said that she was paying $111 a month for her life insurance. And this woman on the other end says, oh, my gosh, you're paying way too much. You shouldn't pay over $60 or $70 a month for that. You need to see us. So when I found out about it, I called the person, and I have saved the deal and actually went back out and pointed out to him. It wouldn't matter. She was instructed when she was setting appointments for her agent, she was instructed to say it didn't matter whatever they said they were paying for their premium. She cut it in half, and that's what you should be paying. So that guy had this client not fully understood how simplified issue worked. Off of the diagram I'm going to show you in a few minutes, if she hadn't fully understood that and really had faith in me, I would have lost that case. And between the husband and the wife, it was over $2,000 in premium. So this education that we're going over this morning, I hope it will help you with that. Keep in mind that some of the things, whenever we can help people and steer them toward the simplified issue, these are some of the things that will actually help them, and you should always zero in on. A type 2 diabetic with most companies is going to be 175% rating. 40 pounds overweight is going to be between 50 and a 75% rating. If they haven't been to the doctor in the last 5 years, they have no idea what type of health situation they really are in. How many people do you know you talk to that they had a heart attack? They haven't been to the doctor in years, had no idea they had a cholesterol problem. Blood work. One of my agents pointed out the other day, that's a big thing. If they haven't done blood work in a while, they really don't know, quite where they stand. And these are some of the things that you as an agent need to recognize that even builds more value in the simplified issue product for you. Now, what I'd like to do is have Connie explain to you how we're going to describe, and this is something here, take the time, get a pencil and paper out, and when you do it in the home, do it on a blank piece of paper, not a lined piece of paper, because you don't want anything at all to take off of the clarity of what you're trying to describe. Connie's going to describe to you the diagram, and then I will explain how it works.
Okay, so if you're sitting at your desk or you're at home, take out a blank sheet of paper, get a marker or something, and I want you to draw about a 6-inch line on this blank sheet of paper. Then I want you to draw a line down the middle. And I want you to divide each of those two sections in half so that you now have 4 sections. On the far left, on the end point, I want you to put 80. And on the far right, on that end point, I want you to put D200. To the line to the left of that 200, I want you to put C175. And the line left of that, which is down the middle, B150. And the far left line is STD standard 100. And lastly, I'd like you to divide that second section between 100 and 150. Divide it right down the middle with an extra long line and label that 120. If we went too fast, I apologize. We can possibly get with you later to send you a scanned copy of what this actually looks like. Now, Dick's going to explain how we use this.
Well, Connie, what this does is this describes how regular life insurance works, and this is exactly the way I explained to the client. If they were standard, normal height, normal weight, no meds, a standard rate for the amount of coverage they were looking at, as an example, would be $100 a month, which explains why we have the line with STD and 100 underneath it. To the left of that, we write 80. That would be about what a preferred rate for that client would be. Then to the right of that, where you had table B at 150, if somebody is, say, 30 pounds overweight, then they might be what they refer to as table B. The company says, I'm going to give you the insurance, but we're going to charge you just a little bit extra because I think there's a little bit more risk here. So that would be $150 a month. Then the table C, for those of you that are new and those of you who have been around a while, the new ones will find this out soon. If you're a type 2 diabetic, that means well controlled on the pill, not insulin shots, that's automatically a table C or $175 a month. Then a table D might be somebody who is a type 2 diabetic, 30, 35, 40 pounds overweight, on blood pressure and cholesterol medication. They might fall in that table D category, or $200 a month. What Harry Stout did back in 1996 or 1998, they took all of those categories, put them into one category, and charged $120 a month. And they didn't have to take an exam. Guys, this was huge. At that point in time, as I've already mentioned, the prices were a little bit higher. The client was ecstatic because they eliminated all the confusion about what life insurance was. If you've ever sold a policy that was fully underwritten and it comes back table B or table C, try to explain that to the client after the fact. It's usually an uphill battle that you never win. Now, why is this such a big deal? And more importantly, why would somebody who falls in the $100 a month or the $80 a month category agree to pay $120, especially after you explain this diagram to them? Well, there's a good reason for that. A lot of times the client says, wait a minute, I don't know what my health is. If they haven't been to the doctor in the last few weeks and had blood work done, most of the people just are not interested in taking the risk. Now, if you're talking about a $500,000 or $1 million policy, that's a different story. But for the middle American client, which is that's who we target for with our products, they just don't know what their health is, and they are not willing to take that risk in most situations. Now, the good news is up to 4 tables or 200% is a standard rate, which is about $120 a month with Simplified issue. That's the good news. The bad news is these products are not priced or designed to order medical records. Therefore, if somebody had a stroke 8 or 9 years ago, they may fall in the table 4 category, and in your mind, a stroke 8 or 9 years ago, you're thinking, that's inconsequential. The insurance company ought to feel good about this. But believe me, they look at this a little bit differently than you do and a whole lot differently than the client's doctor does. Because, see, if the doctor says, oh, my gosh, you had that heart attack 8 years ago, we've done the surgery, you're healthier now than most 18-year-olds. If the patient dies, the doctor feels terrible. But it didn't cost him anything but a patient. On the other hand, if the insurance company makes a mistake and they issue this policy and the client dies, it's costing them $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. So the insurance company looks at this client totally differently than their doctor does and you and I do. So make sure that you understand that the Table 4, if there is a health record that needs to be looked at in order to verify that the client falls in that Table 4 category, these products are not priced for that. Therefore, you're going to get what we refer to as a reject. In insurance terminology, that's different than a decline because these products are accept, reject. They either accept it or they reject it. It doesn't go under their file as a decline. It just goes in there as a reject, which means it's incumbent upon you before you go to the exam to get some idea, or more importantly, because I know some of you don't ask health questions before you go, but for those of you that don't ask health questions before you go, after you take the application, get with your manager to see if this is going to go through on a simplified issue basis, because if it's not, then they can help you select a product so that we can do some coverage for this client. I'll actually be going over this diagram for everybody in Asheville for the Spring Forward on May 18th. That alone, whatever it's going to cost you to come to the Spring Forward, there's going to be probably 24 little things like that you're going to pick up, any one of which will more than pay for the trip for you. But this little diagram that I've just described to you here, and Connie had you draw out, I use that probably 3 times a week. I wrote over $3,000 in premium last week just off of that diagram. It made that much of a difference so that clients could understand how insurance works, because what you're going to find out when you're in the field, an empowered client is much more easy to sell because you don't have to sell them, they buy because they understand. And this is one of those things that you can use that will help them with that. If any of you have any questions, feel free to email Symmetry. Get with your manager and ask them any questions about this, because these are some concepts that once you, and this is PDR, practice, drill, rehearse, once you understand the concept, at that point in time, then it makes it much easier in the house to convey what the client needs to know before they can make a decision. And it also will help you in better selecting products after you've taken the application that will better suit the client's needs.
Remember, the first law of business is stay in business, so production, production, production. Thank you.